Jake Morrison wiped his sweaty hands on his lab coat and looked out the window of the space station. Mars looked small and red in the distance. He never thought he would be here, floating in space, waiting to meet aliens for the first time. The communication device on his desk made a soft beeping sound. Captain Lisa Hayes spoke through it. "Jake, they're here. The alien ship just docked with our station." Jake took a deep breath. He was a scientist who studied life forms, not a diplomat. But Earth needed someone who understood biology to talk to these new visitors. His hands shook a little as he picked up his notes. The aliens called themselves Valdorians. They had sent messages to Earth 3 months ago. They wanted to meet and talk about peace. Earth's government chose this small research station near Mars for the meeting. It seemed safer than letting them come to Earth right away. Jake walked down the metal hallway of the station. His footsteps echoed in the quiet space. Other crew members watched him through their windows. Everyone was nervous and excited. This was the biggest day in human history. The main meeting room had a large table and chairs. Jake sat down and waited. His heart beat fast in his chest. He thought about his twin sons, Alex and Ben, back on Earth with his sister Kate. What would he tell them about this day? The door opened with a soft hiss. Jake looked up and his mouth fell open. The alien queen was 8 feet tall. Her skin looked like it was made of crystal that glowed with soft blue light. She moved like she was floating instead of walking. Behind her came 6 other aliens, all wearing silver armor that sparkled in the light. "I am Queen Zarathix of the Valdorian Empire," she said. Her voice was deep and musical. Jake was surprised that she spoke perfect English. "I'm Dr. Jake Morrison," he said, standing up quickly. His voice came out higher than normal. "Welcome to our station." The Queen's large eyes studied him. They were purple and seemed to see right through him. "You are the one they chose to speak for your species." "Yes, Your Majesty." Jake tried to sound confident. "I'm here to discuss trade and peace between our people." For the next hour, they talked about boring things: trade routes, mining rights, territory boundaries. The other aliens took notes on devices that looked like glowing tablets. Jake relaxed a little. This was just like any business meeting, except with 8-foot-tall crystal people. Then something strange happened. Queen Zarathix made a gesture with her hand. All the other aliens stopped writing. They looked at her with surprise. "Leave us," she commanded them. The alien guards looked at each other. One of them spoke in their language. It sounded like music mixed with the sound of breaking glass. The Queen answered sharply. The guard's crystal skin flashed red for a moment. "My queen, it is not safe." The guard said in English. "I said leave." Her voice was cold as ice. The aliens filed out of the room. The door closed behind them. Jake was alone with the most powerful being he had ever met. His mouth felt dry. Queen Zarathix sat down across from him. Her glowing skin dimmed until she looked almost human in the soft light. For the first time, Jake saw something in her alien face that he recognized. Pain. "Dr. Morrison," she said quietly, "I must tell you why I really came here." Jake leaned forward. "I'm listening." The Queen was quiet for a long moment. Her crystal fingers drummed on the table. When she spoke again, her voice was different. Softer. More like a mother than a ruler. "I have studied your species for many months. I have watched your television broadcasts. I have read your books and stories. I have learned about human emotions and human families." "Okay," Jake said slowly. He did not know where this was going. "Humans love their children very much," she continued. "You would do anything to save them. Even die for them." "Yes," Jake said. "That's true." Queen Zarathix looked directly into his eyes. "My daughter is dying, Dr. Morrison, and I believe that only a human can save her." Jake felt like someone had hit him in the stomach. "I don't understand. I'm just a biologist. I study plants and small animals. I'm not a doctor." "You are more than you know," the Queen said. She reached into her robes and pulled out a small device. She placed it on the table between them. It projected a three-dimensional image into the air. Jake saw a young alien who looked like a smaller version of the Queen. But where Queen Zarathyx's skin glowed with steady blue light, this girl's skin flickered like a broken light bulb. Sometimes it was bright, sometimes it was dark. Sometimes it flashed red. This is Princess Kira Lynn. She is my only daughter. She is 16 years old by your counting. The image showed the princess lying on what looked like a medical bed. Machines surrounded her. Other aliens in white robes worked over her. What's wrong with her? Jake asked. She is dying from something we call emotion sickness. Her mind cannot handle individual thoughts and feelings. It is killing her. Jake stared at the image. I still don't understand how I can help. Queen Zarathyx touched the device. The image changed to show brain scans. Jake recognized some of the patterns from his own research on Earth animals. My people gave up individual emotions long ago, the Queen explained. We share one mind, one purpose. It brought us peace, but it also brought us problems. The royal family kept some ability to think alone. It makes us good leaders, but it also makes us sick. She paused and looked at Jake with those deep purple eyes. Human brains are different. You feel many emotions, but you do not go crazy. You can be sad and happy and angry all at the same time, and your minds stay strong. We have never seen anything like it. Jake thought about his own life. Losing his wife Amy in the Mars colony accident. Raising his twin boys alone. The sadness, the joy, the fear, the love all mixed together every day. You want me to help your daughter learn how to handle emotions? More than that, Queen Zarathyx said. I want you to connect your mind to hers. To show her mind how a human brain works with feelings. It is dangerous, but it is the only hope she has. Jake sat back in his chair. This was impossible. He was not qualified for this. He was not brave enough for this. But then he thought about Alex and Ben. If one of his sons was dying and an alien could save them, what would he want that alien to do? If I say yes, Jake said slowly, what happens next? Queen Zarathyx's crystal skin grew brighter. You would come with me to our homeworld. You would undergo procedures that have never been tried on a human. You might die. But if it works, you will save not just my daughter, but possibly change both our species forever. Jake looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there was a dying alien girl who needed his help. Somewhere back on Earth were his own children, who needed their father to come home safe. He thought about Amy, and what she would say. She always told him to help others when he could, even if it was scary, even if it was hard. Jake looked back at the alien queen, who was also a worried mother. When do we leave? Jake sat in his small room on the space station staring at a photo of his sons. Alex and Ben smiled back at him from the picture. They were only 14, but they looked so much like their mother Amy. The same brown eyes and messy hair. His communication device buzzed. A message from Earth appeared on the screen. It was from his sister Kate. Jake, the boys are asking when you're coming home. I told them you're doing important work, but they miss you. Alex built a model rocket today and wants to show you. Ben is reading every book he can find about aliens. They're proud of their dad. Come home safe. Jake closed his eyes. What was he doing? He was a scientist, not a hero. He studied small creatures under microscopes. He was not the kind of person who saved alien princesses. A soft knock came at his door. Come in, Jake said. Captain Lisa Hayes entered the room. She was tall and strong, with short gray hair. She had been running space stations for 20 years. Jake trusted her more than anyone else out here. The Valdorian Queen wants to talk to you again, Lisa said. She's waiting in the meeting room. I don't know if I can do this, Lisa, Jake admitted. I keep thinking about my boys. What if something happens to me? They already lost their mother. They can't lose me too. Lisa sat down on the chair across from him. Jake, I've been in space for a long time. I've seen a lot of scary things, but I've also seen what happens when good people step up to help others. She pointed to the photo of his sons. Those boys will be proud of their father no matter what you choose. But ask yourself this. What kind of world do you want to leave for them? One where humans hide from aliens, or one where we help each other? Jake knew she was right. He picked up the photo and put it in his pocket. Queen Zarathix was waiting, alone in the meeting room. Her crystal skin glowed dimmer than before. She looked tired. "Dr. Morrison," she said when he entered, "have you decided?" "I need to know more," Jake said, sitting down. "You said this procedure is dangerous. What exactly would happen to me?" The Queen activated her device again. New images appeared in the air between them. Jake saw pictures of alien brains and human brains side by side. "Your mind would be connected to my daughter's through our technology," she explained. "You would share thoughts, memories, and feelings. Your brain patterns would teach hers how to process emotions without burning out." "And the dangers?" "Queen." Zarathix was quiet for a moment. "The connection might be too strong. Your minds could merge permanently. You might lose yourself and become part of our hive mind. Or the shock of alien thoughts might damage your brain." Jake felt cold. "How likely is that to happen?" "I do not know. It has never been tried before." Jake thought about this. He would be the first human to have his brain connected to an alien. He might die. He might go crazy. He might never see his sons again. "There's something else," the Queen continued. "My people's law says that no alien can enter our sacred healing chambers. If I bring you to our world, some of my subjects will be very angry. They might try to stop us." "Why would they do that?" "Because they are afraid. For thousands of years, we have lived with one shared mind. We have had peace, but also no change, no growth. They fear that individual emotions will bring back the chaos and wars of our past." Jake understood. Change was always scary, even when it might help. "Tell me about your daughter," Jake said. Queen Zarathix's expression softened. She touched the device and the image changed to show Princess Kirillin when she was healthy. The young alien was beautiful, with crystal skin that sparkled like diamonds. "She is curious about everything," the Queen said with pride. "She asks questions that no one else thinks to ask. She wants to understand other species, other worlds. She is not like other Valdorians." "When did she get sick?" 2 years ago, when she turned 14 by your counting. That is when royal children begin to develop individual thoughts. Most adapt slowly, but Kirillin's mind is too active, too creative. The emotions hit her like storms." The image showed the princess reading books, studying star charts, painting pictures with colors that Jake had never seen before. "She learned your language by watching human television shows," Queen Zarathix continued. "She loves your movies and music. She says humans are the most interesting species she has ever studied." Jake smiled despite his fear. The princess sounded like his own sons, always curious and excited about everything. "Can I talk to her?" Jake asked. "Yes, but only for a few minutes. Extended communication makes her sickness worse." Queen Zarathix worked with her device for several moments. Then a new voice came through the speakers. It was young and musical, but Jake could hear the weakness in it. "Hello, Dr. Morrison," Princess Kirillin said. "Mother has told me about you." "Hello, Princess," Jake replied. "How are you feeling?" "Like my brain is full of lightning," she said, with a small laugh. "But I am excited to meet a real human. I have so many questions." "What kind of questions?" "How do you handle feeling sad and happy at the same time? How do you love someone even when they make you angry? How do you remember someone who is dead, but still feel joy about new things?" Jake was surprised. These were deep questions that he had struggled with himself since Amy died. "Those are hard questions," he admitted. "I don't always handle emotions well. Sometimes I feel sad for days. Sometimes I get angry at small things, but somehow human brains can hold many different feelings without breaking." "I want to learn that," Princess Kirillin said. Her voice was getting weaker. "I want to feel love without it burning my mind. I want to be sad without wanting to die." "Princess, you should rest now," Queen Zarathix said gently. "Will you help me, Dr. Morrison?" the girl asked. Will you teach my brain how to be like a human brain? Jake looked at Queen Zarathix. The alien mother's eyes were full of hope and fear, just like any human parent with a sick child. I'll try, Jake said. I can't promise it will work, but I'll try. Thank you, Princess Kira Lynn whispered. I have been dreaming about meeting humans for so long. Maybe now I will get the chance. The communication ended. Queen Zarathix turned off her device. There is one more thing you should know, she said. The journey to our world will take 2 weeks. During that time, other alien species might try to stop us. Not everyone wants humans and Valdorians to become friends. What do you mean? The Krex Empire sees us as weak because we are peaceful. They think that if we ally with humans, we will become stronger. They would rather destroy both our species than let that happen. Jake felt his stomach drop. Not only was the procedure dangerous, but the trip itself might get him killed. Dr. Morrison, Queen Zarathix said, I know I am asking too much of you. You have your own children to think about, but my daughter is running out of time. She has maybe 3 weeks left before her mind burns out completely. Jake thought about Alex and Ben again. Then he thought about Princess Kira Lynn, alone and scared and dying. He thought about Amy and what she would want him to do. When can we leave, he asked. Queen Zarathix's crystal skin brightened with relief. Tonight, if you are willing. My ship is fast, but we need every day we can get. Jake stood up. I need to send a message to my family first, and I'll need some things from my lab. Of course. As Jake walked toward the door, Queen Zarathix called his name. He turned back. Dr. Morrison, she said, why are you doing this? You barely know us. You could die. Jake thought about the question. Then he smiled, remembering something Amy used to say. Because that's what humans do, he said. We help each other even when it's scary, even when it seems impossible. It's just who we are. Queen Zarathix stared at him for a long moment. Perhaps that is why you are the species that can save my daughter. Jake nodded and left the room. He had a message to send to his boys, and then he had an alien princess to save. The Valdorian ship was unlike anything Jake had ever seen. It looked like it was grown instead of built, with smooth curves and no sharp edges. The walls inside glowed with the same soft light as Queen Zarathix's skin. Jake followed the queen through the ship's hallways. Other Valdorians stopped and stared at him. Some of their crystal skin flashed red when they saw him. Jake remembered that red meant anger or fear. They are not happy about me being here, Jake said quietly. No, Queen Zarathix admitted. Many of my people think I am making a mistake. They believe humans are too dangerous and unpredictable. They entered a room with a large window that showed the stars moving past them. The ship was traveling faster than anything humans had ever built. Earth was already far behind them. How long until we reach your world? Jake asked. 12 days if we are not stopped, the queen replied. Jake had spent the last 2 days studying everything he could about Valdorian biology. Their brains were very different from human brains. Where humans had separate areas for different thoughts and feelings, Valdorians had one big network that connected to all other Valdorians. I still don't understand how the mind link will work, Jake said. Queen Zarathix activated a wall display. It showed a complex diagram of brain patterns. Our technology will create a bridge between your neural pathways and Kira Lynn's, she explained. Your emotional processing patterns will overlay hers, teaching her mind how to handle individual feelings. Jake studied the diagram. What will it feel like? You will experience her thoughts and memories. She will experience yours. For a time, you will be one consciousness in 2 bodies. The idea was terrifying and exciting at the same time. Jake would see the world through truly alien eyes. He would understand how a hive mind species thought and felt. Can I communicate with the princess during our journey? Jake asked. Yes, but only for short periods. Each contact weakens her more. That evening, Jake was alone in his quarters when the communication system activated. Princess Kira Lynn's voice filled the room, weak but curious. Dr. Morrison, are you there? I'm here, Princess. How are you feeling today? Like my thoughts. Are fighting each other, she said with a tired laugh. But I wanted to ask you something. What is it like to have children? Jake smiled. It's the best and scariest thing in the world. You love them so much that their happiness becomes more important than your own. I do not understand. How can someone else's feelings matter more than your own feelings? Jake thought about how to explain it. When my sons were babies, I would stay awake all night if they were sick. I didn't sleep for days sometimes. I was exhausted, but seeing them get better made me happy anyway. That sounds like what Mother is doing for me, Princess Carolyn said softly. She has not slept since I became sick. She feels my pain as if it were her own. Yes, exactly, that's what parents do. Dr. Morrison, what happened to your wife? Mother told me she died. Jake felt the familiar sadness in his chest. There was an accident at the Mars colony where we lived. An explosion. She was trying to help other people escape when the building collapsed. You still love her even though she is gone? Yes. Love doesn't end when someone dies. It just changes form. Princess Carolyn was quiet for a moment. I think that is the most beautiful and sad thing I have ever heard. How do you bear it? Some days are harder than others. But I have my sons to take care of. They need me to be strong. And I have good memories of Amy that make me smile. I hope I can learn to feel things like that without my mind breaking apart. You will, Jake promised, though he wasn't sure if that was true. On the 5th day of their journey, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Jake ran to the bridge where Queen Zarathix was speaking rapidly with her crew in their musical language. What's happening? Jake asked. Krex warships, the Queen said grimly. 3 of them, moving to intercept us. Through the main window, Jake could see dark ships approaching. They looked like metal insects with sharp edges and glowing red lights. Will they attack us? Jake asked. The Krex do not negotiate, Queen Zarathix replied. They believe that peace makes species weak. They would rather destroy us than let humans and Valdorians become allies. The ship shuddered as energy weapons hit its hull. The lights flickered and several crew members cried out in their language. Can we outrun them? Jake asked. Not with their new ships. They are faster than us now. Jake watched the enemy vessels closing in. Each one was twice the size of the Valdorian ship. What can we do? Queen Zarathix looked at him with those deep purple eyes. We fight, or we surrender you to them and they let us pass. Would you do that? Never, she said firmly. You are under my protection. You are trying to save my daughter. I would rather die than give you to the Krex. The ship shook again, harder this time. Sparks flew from control panels and the smell of burning. Electronics filled the air. Your Majesty, one of the crew members called out. The hull is damaged. We cannot take much more of this. Jake felt helpless. He was just a biologist. He didn't know anything about space battles or alien weapons, but he couldn't just stand there while people died trying to protect him. Is there anything I can do to help? He asked. Queen Zarathix looked surprised. You would risk yourself to help us fight? These are your people. You're trying to save your daughter. Of course I'll help. The Queen spoke quickly to her crew. One of them, a tall Valdorian with silver markings on his skin, shook his head and replied in their language. His skin flashed red. Prince Veltar says it is too dangerous to trust a human with our weapon systems, Queen Zarathix translated. I'm not asking to control your weapons, Jake said. But maybe I can think of something you haven't considered. Humans are good at improvising when things go wrong. Another hit from the Krex ship sent everyone stumbling. The lights went out for several seconds before emergency power kicked in. We're going to die anyway if we don't try something different, Jake pointed out. Queen Zarathix spoke to her crew again. This time, Prince Veltar's skin flashed between red and blue, anger and uncertainty. What do you need to know? The Queen asked Jake. Jake studied the displays showing the enemy ships. How do Krex weapons work? They use focused plasma beams. Very powerful, but they need time to recharge between shots. And their ships are heavily armored in front? Yes, but weak at the rear engines. Jake thought about this. The Krek ships were attacking in a straight-line formation, like ancient warships on Earth's oceans. They expected the Valdorians to either run away or fight back in the same predictable way. What if we don't run straight away from them? Jake suggested. What if we turn and fly toward them instead? The bridge went quiet. Every Valdorian stared. At him? That would be suicide, Prince Veltar said in accented English. Maybe not, Jake replied. They're expecting us to run. If we fly straight at them, they'll have to turn to avoid ramming us. That would expose their weak rear sections. To your weapons. Queen Zarathix studied the tactical display. Her skin grew brighter as she considered the idea. It is crazy enough to work, she said slowly. But if we miscalculate, we will all be destroyed instantly. Sometimes crazy is exactly what you need, Jake said, remembering something Amy used to tell him. The ship shook again. Systems were failing all around them. We have to decide now, the Queen said. Jake thought about Princess Kirillin, dying on her world. He thought about Alex and Ben, waiting for him to come home. He thought about all the species in the galaxy who might benefit from humans and Valdorians working together. Do it, he said. Queen Zarathix gave orders to her crew. The ship suddenly changed direction, spinning around and flying directly toward the attacking Krek's vessels. Jake gripped the nearest support beam as the ship accelerated. Through the window he could see the enemy ships growing larger and larger. They were playing the most dangerous game of chicken in history. They're turning, one of the crew members called out. Jake watched as the Krek ships, surprised by the unexpected maneuver, scrambled to avoid a collision. For a few seconds, their rear sections were exposed. Fire! Queen Zarathix commanded. The Valdorian ship's weapons lashed out, striking the engines of two Krek's vessels. Explosions bloomed in space as the enemy ships lost power and began drifting. The third Krek ship managed to turn faster than the others. Its weapons charged up for another attack. Hold on, the Queen warned. The Valdorian ship dove down and spun sideways, moving like a dancer instead of a warship. The Krek's plasma beam missed them by meters. Can we jump to faster-than-light travel? Now? Jake asked. Yes, but we need 30 seconds to charge the drive. Those 30 seconds felt like hours. The remaining Krek ship fired again and again, each shot coming closer. Sparks flew from consoles and crew members worked frantically to keep the ship flying. Finally, the stars outside the window suddenly stretched into lines of light. The Krek ship was left far behind as they entered hyperspace. Jake sat down heavily, his legs shaking from adrenaline. That was well done, human, Prince Veltar said grudgingly. His skin was now a steady blue. Respect. We make a good team, Jake replied. Queen Zarathix came over to him. Dr. Morrison, you just helped save my crew and my ship. I am in your debt. Just get me to your daughter, Jake said. That's all I want. As the ship flew through hyperspace toward the Valdorian homeworld, Jake realized that he was no longer just trying to. The Valdorian homeworld took Jake's breath away. The entire planet looked like it was made of living crystal. Cities grew up from the ground in spirals and curves that sparkled in the light of two suns. Rivers of liquid light flowed between buildings that hummed with soft music. It's beautiful, Jake said as their ship descended toward the surface. It is the result of 20,000 years of collective planning, Queen Zarathix explained. Every building, every garden, every street was designed by our shared mind working together. Jake could see why the Valdorians were proud of their world. There was no pollution, no waste, no ugly buildings. Everything fit together perfectly like pieces of a puzzle. But as they landed at the royal palace, Jake noticed something else. All the Valdorians moving through the streets looked exactly the same. They walked at the same speed, moved their arms the same way, even turned their heads at the same angles. It was like watching thousands of copies of the same person. They're all connected to the hive mind, Jake realized. Yes? They share thoughts, emotions, and purpose. It brings perfect peace and order. Jake thought about his own sons, Alex and Ben. They were twins, but completely different from each other. Alex was quiet and loved to build things. Ben was loud, and loved to read everything. Earth was messy and chaotic, but it was also full of surprise and creativity. "Don't you miss having individual personalities?" Jake asked. Queen Zarathix was quiet for a moment. "Sometimes, but we gave up individuality to end wars and suffering. For most of us, it was a fair trade. The royal palace was even more amazing than the city. Walls of pure crystal rose hundreds of feet into the air. Gardens filled with plants that glowed. Different colors surrounded pools of water that sang when the wind touched them. But Jake's attention was focused on one thing: finding Princess Kira Lynn. They walked through halls filled with art and music toward the medical center. Other Valdorians bowed when they saw Queen Zarathix, but their skin flashed red when they looked at Jake. Word had spread that the queen had brought a human to their sacred world. "They really don't want me here," Jake said. "Many of them are afraid," the queen admitted. "They think human emotions will contaminate our peaceful minds." They reached a door guarded by 6 tall Valdorians in golden armor. Their skin was bright red with anger. "Your Majesty," one of them said, "the Council of Elders demands to speak with you before this alien enters the healing chambers." "I am the Queen," Zarathix replied coldly. "I do not take orders from the Council. But the sacred laws say that no price is too high to save an innocent life." The Queen interrupted. "Stand aside." The guards hesitated. Jake could see they were torn between loyalty to their queen and fear of breaking ancient traditions. "Please," Jake said quietly. "I'm just here to help a sick girl. I don't want to cause problems for anyone." One of the guards looked at him with surprise. "You would speak for yourself, human?" "My name is Jake Morrison. I'm a father, just like your queen is a mother. I have 2 sons at home who I love very much. I understand what it feels like to worry about your children." The guards looked at each other. Their skin color slowly changed from red to purple. Uncertainty. "Let us pass," Queen Zarathix commanded. This time, the guards stepped aside. The healing chamber was the most beautiful room Jake had ever seen. The walls, floor, and ceiling were all made of crystal that glowed with warm, gentle light. In the center of the room was a bed surrounded by machines that looked like they were made of living metal and light. Princess Kira Lynn lay on the bed, and Jake's heart broke when he saw her. She was so young and small, barely bigger than his own sons. Her crystal skin flickered constantly between different colors: blue, red, purple, green, like a broken rainbow. "She's fighting so hard," Queen Zarathix whispered. Jake approached the bed slowly. Up close, he could see that the princess was in pain. Her face twisted with expressions he recognized: fear, sadness, anger, joy, all mixing together in ways that her alien mind couldn't handle. "Princess Kira Lynn," he said softly. Her large purple eyes opened and focused on him. For a moment, her skin stopped flickering and glowed steady blue. "Dr. Morrison," she said weakly. "You came. You really came. I promised I would. Are you ready to help me learn how to be human?" Jake smiled. "You don't need to learn how to be human. You need to learn how to be yourself while handling emotions. There's a difference." 3 Valdorian doctors approached them. Their skin was white, which Jake had learned meant they were scientists and healers. "Human," one of them said. "We must tell you the risks again. This procedure has never been attempted. Your mind could be damaged or destroyed. You could become lost in our patient's thoughts and never find your way back to your own identity." "I understand the risks," Jake replied. "There is also danger to Princess Kira Lynn," another doctor continued. "Human emotions are very strong. They might overwhelm her completely." Jake looked at the dying princess. Her skin was flickering faster now, cycling through colors so quickly it hurt to watch. "What happens if we don't try?" he asked. "She dies within days," the 3rd doctor said simply. Jake nodded. "Then we try." The doctors began preparing their equipment. Jake was connected to machines that looked nothing like human medical devices. Instead of wires and screens, they used crystals that hummed with energy and beams of colored light that danced through the air. "The connection will begin slowly," Queen Zarathix explained. At first, you will only sense her surface thoughts. As the link grows stronger, you will share deeper memories and emotions. What will she experience from me? Jake asked. Everything. Your love for your sons, your grief for your wife, your fears, your hopes, your dreams. She will see your life through your eyes. Jake thought about this. Princess Kiralyn would experience all his pain along with his joy. She would feel what it was like to lose someone you loved. She would understand the weight of responsibility that came with being a parent. She's strong enough to handle it, he decided. The doctors finished their preparations. Jake lay down on a bed next to Princess Kiralyn. Crystal headpieces were placed on both their heads, and immediately Jake felt a strange tingling sensation. Beginning neural link, one of the doctors announced. At first, Jake felt nothing different. Then slowly, he began to sense something else in his mind. It was like hearing a whisper in another room, present but not clear. The whisper grew louder. Suddenly, Jake was seeing double, his own vision and someone else's at the same time. The world looked different through Valdorian eyes. Colors were brighter and more complex. He could see patterns of energy flowing through the crystal walls. Can you hear me? Princess Kiralyn's voice came from inside his own thoughts. Yes, Jake replied without speaking out loud. Can you hear me? Oh, she exclaimed in wonder. Your thoughts feel so different from ours. They're all separate but connected, like music with many different notes. Jake felt her exploring his mind like a child exploring a new playground. She found his memories of Alex and Ben and laughed with delight. They're so different from each other. How can two people come from the same parents but think such different thoughts? That's what makes them special, Jake replied. Then Princess Kiralyn found his memories of Amy, and Jake felt her confusion as she experienced his grief. This feeling, she said wonderingly, it hurts, but it's also beautiful. How can sadness and love exist in the same place? Human hearts are big enough to hold many feelings at once, Jake explained. We don't have to choose just one emotion. As the link grew stronger, Jake began to see Princess Kiralyn's memories. He experienced what it felt like to be connected to thousands of other minds, hearing their thoughts like a constant song in the background. But he also felt her loneliness, the isolation that came from being the only one who thought differently. I've always been alone, she shared with him. Even surrounded by our people, I think thoughts that no one else understands. Being different isn't bad, Jake told her. It's what makes you who you are. Suddenly alarms began blaring throughout the palace. The doctors working around them looked up in alarm as their communication devices activated. Krex ships, a voice announced. Multiple Krex battle fleets are attacking the system. Jake felt Princess Kiralyn's fear spike through their connection. Her emotions hit him like a wave, and for a moment he couldn't tell which feelings were his and which were hers. We have to stop the procedure, one of the doctors said. No, Princess Kiralyn cried out both aloud and in Jake's mind. We're so close, I can feel my mind learning from his. The building shook as explosions echoed from somewhere above them. Through their mental link, Jake felt Princess Kiralyn's terror, but also her determination. She was fighting to stay connected to him even as the Krex attacked her world. Trust me, Jake told her through their link. I'm going to teach you something humans are very good at. How to be brave when you're scared. As the battle raged overhead and the mind link grew stronger between them, Jake realized that saving Princess Kiralyn was going to require more than just sharing his emotions with her. It was going to require both of them to survive the next few hours. And with Krex warships bombing the palace around them, survival was far from guaranteed. The mind link between Jake and Princess Kiralyn was now so strong that he could barely tell where his thoughts ended and hers began. Through her alien senses, he felt the fear of every Valdorian on the planet as Krex bombs fell on their beautiful crystal cities. Dr. Morrison, Princess Kiralyn said in his mind, something is happening to me. The fear and anger from our people. I can feel it all, but it's not burning my mind anymore. Jake realized what was occurring. His human brain patterns were teaching her how to process the intense emotions without being overwhelmed by them. You're Learning, he told her through their connection. Your mind is adapting. Another explosion shook the palace. Crystal dust fell from the ceiling as the building's structure groaned under the attack. Your Majesty, one of the doctors called to Queen Zarathix, we must evacuate the princess to the underground shelters. No, Princess Kiralyn said aloud, her voice stronger than Jake had ever heard it. I won't hide anymore. She sat up on her bed, the neural connection devices still attached to her head. Her skin was no longer flickering between colors. Instead, it glowed with a steady, powerful light that was somehow different from other Valdorians. Kiralyn, what are you doing? Her mother asked. I can feel our people's terror through the hive mind, the princess explained. But I can also feel something else now, something Dr. Morrison taught me. Jake knew what she meant. Through their link, she had experienced his memories of courage. She had felt what it was like when he chose to leave Earth to help her, even though he was scared. She had experienced the strength that came from choosing to do the right thing despite fear. I need to speak to our people, Princess Kiralyn said. Daughter, you're still too weak. No, Mother, I'm different now. I can feel individual emotions without losing myself in them. I can inspire our people instead of just commanding them. Princess Kiralyn closed her eyes and reached out through the Valdorian hive mind. Jake, still connected to her, felt her consciousness touch thousands of other minds across the planet. But this time, instead of sharing the cold, logical thoughts of the collective, she shared something new. She shared hope. She shared the human concept of fighting for what you love, even when the odds are impossible. Throughout the planet, Valdorians stopped running from the Krex attacks. Instead, they began to fight back with a creativity and determination they had never shown before. What is she doing? Queen Zarathix asked in amazement. She's showing them how to feel, Jake said. How to be brave, how to be angry at injustice, how to love something enough to fight for it. The Valdorian military, which had been fighting defensively according to predetermined strategies, suddenly began improvising. They used tactics that surprised even themselves. Pilots flew their ships in ways that broke all the rules but somehow worked. Ground forces defended their cities with fierce determination instead of cold efficiency. Through the palace windows, Jake could see Valdorian ships moving like dancers through space, avoiding Krex fire while striking back with precision and creativity. The Krex are retreating, a voice announced over the communication system. Their forces are pulling back from all sectors. But the effort was too much for Princess Kiralyn. She collapsed back onto her bed, her skin flickering again. The connection is burning out, one of the doctors warned. Her mind can't handle the strain much longer. Jake felt it too. The neural link was like a bridge made of lightning, too intense to last much longer. His own thoughts were becoming confused with the princess's, and he was starting to lose his sense of self. We have to end the link now, Jake said aloud, or we'll both be lost. But I don't want to lose this connection, Princess Kiralyn said through their mental bond. Through you, I finally understand what it means to be an individual, while still caring about others. Jake felt tears in his eyes. He had come to care about this brave alien girl like she was his own daughter. You don't need me anymore, he told her. Your mind has learned what it needed to learn. You can handle emotions on your own now. How can you be sure? Because right now you're feeling sad about saying goodbye to me. But you're not going crazy. You're processing the emotion like a human would. Princess Kiralyn realized he was right. She was sad, but the sadness wasn't overwhelming her. She could feel it, accept it, and still think clearly. Will I ever see you again? She asked. I hope so, Jake replied. Maybe someday you can visit Earth and meet my sons. They would love to meet an alien princess. I would like that very much. With great effort, they began to separate their minds. It was like tearing apart two pieces of cloth that had been woven together. Jake felt pieces of Princess Kiralyn's memories staying with him while parts of his own experiences remained with her. Finally, the neural link broke completely. Jake gasped as his consciousness snapped back into his own head. The world suddenly seemed smaller and quieter without the connection to the Valdorian hive mind. Princess Kiralyn opened her eyes and looked at him. Her skin glowed with steady, healthy light. "Thank you," she said simply. Jake smiled, exhausted but happy. "Thank you for letting me see the universe through your eyes." Queen Zarathix rushed to her daughter's side. "How do you feel?" "Different," Princess Kiralyn said, sitting up. "I can still connect to our people's minds, but I can also think my own thoughts. I can feel my own emotions without being destroyed by them." She looked at Jake with gratitude. "I understand now why humans are so creative and adaptable. Your emotions don't weaken you. They make you stronger." Over the next few days, as Jake recovered from the procedure, he watched Princess Kiralyn transform the Valdorian society. She didn't try to make everyone individual like humans. Instead, she showed them how to be part of the collective while still maintaining their own personalities and creativity. Artists began creating new forms of beauty. Scientists started asking questions that had never been asked before. Even ordinary citizens began thinking of innovative solutions to old problems. "You have given us a gift we didn't know we needed," Queen Zarathix told Jake as they prepared for his journey home. "My daughter is not just healed. She has become a bridge between collective harmony and individual creativity." "What will happen now?" Jake asked. "Princess Kiralyn will rule someday," the Queen explained. "But more importantly, she will teach our people that we don't have to choose between peace and progress. We can have both." As Jake boarded the ship that would take him back to Earth, Princess Kiralyn came to say goodbye. "I have something for you," she said, handing him a small crystal device. "It will let us communicate across the stars whenever you want to talk." "I'll call you often," Jake promised. "I want to hear about all the amazing things you're going to do." "Dr. Morrison, Jake, you saved my life. But more than that, you taught me that being different is not something to be ashamed of. It's something to celebrate." Jake hugged the alien princess goodbye, marveling at how this strange journey had given him not just an amazing adventure, but a new daughter from the stars. The trip back to Earth took 2 weeks. When Jake finally arrived at the space station, where everything had begun, Captain Lisa Hayes was waiting for him. "So," she said with a grin, "how was your vacation?" Jake laughed. "Eventful. Very eventful." His communication device buzzed with a message from Kate on Earth. "The boys are at the spaceport waiting for you. They built a huge banner that says, 'Welcome home, Hero Dad. Hope you're ready to tell them some amazing bedtime stories.'" Jake smiled as he looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, Princess Kiralyn was learning to rule her people with both wisdom and emotion. The Valdorians and humans were becoming friends and allies, and the galaxy was becoming a little bit more interesting because of it. He had left Earth as just a biologist trying to help a sick alien child. He was returning as the first human to share minds with another species, the first to prove that humanity's greatest strength was not their technology or their weapons, but their capacity for empathy and emotional connection. As his ship approached Earth, Jake could see his home planet growing larger in the window. Blue oceans, white clouds, brown and green continents full of chaotic, creative, emotional humans who were ready to take their place among the stars. 3 months later, Jake received a message through the crystal device Princess Kiralyn had given him. "Jake," her voice said, filled with joy, "I have wonderful news. I'm going to have a baby. The first Valdorian child who will be born with the ability to feel individual emotions from birth. And I want to ask you something important. Will you be the child's godfather?" Jake looked up at the night sky from his backyard on Earth, where Alex and Ben were building a telescope to look for alien worlds. "Yes," he said into the crystal device. "I would be honored." As the stars twinkled overhead, Jake realized that his greatest adventure wasn't behind him. It was just beginning. Somewhere in space, a new generation of human and alien children would grow up as friends, learning from each other and building a galaxy where differences were celebrated rather than feared. And it all started because one Desperate mother asked a human father for help, and he said yes.